Call the meeting in order. We have full attendance. We will now move into executive session under ORS 19.660, Sections 2E, to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Okay, we'll return to regular session, open session now, and we'll have the flag salute. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I have agenda review. Motion?
Yeah, I have a motion to revise the agenda by adding 15F, which will read appointment of finance committee members.
Second.
It's been moved and second to add 15F to the agenda, appointing finance committee members. Any discussion? Okay, vote.
Owen,
Yes.
Derek,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Josh,
Yeah.
Phil,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
All in favor.
Okay. That's what we do. Consent agenda. Entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve the consent agenda. Vote.
Owen,
Yes.
Derek,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Josh,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jennifer. All in
Yes.
favor.
Okay, now we'll have our student representatives, Mariah and is it Kai?
Kai.
Kai. Okay. Mariah and Kai.
Hello, my name is Kai Hawley, and I'm one of the ASB School Board representatives from Silverton High School.
My name is Mariah Wacker, and I'm also an ASB School Board representative.
We are super excited to start off this school year. We will be presenting on behalf of the student body as a whole.
Fall sports are off and running for us at the high school. We have a lot of great things happening already. Cross country had a meet this past weekend in Tillamook, and the Foxes ran great, both our girls and boys team. They are hosting the Silver Falls Oktoberfest Invitational on Wednesday, September 11th. The race begins at 4 p.m.
Girls soccer has started off the season strong with a big win last week to open the season at 1-0. They have 2 games this week. Tuesday, they host South Salem at McGinnis.
Boys soccer is also competing strong to start the season. They played 2 games this week as well, but will play home on Thursday at 7:15 against West Salem.
The girls volleyball team started their preseason last Saturday when they played in a tournament at South Eugene High School. They will travel to Dallas on Tuesday and play at West Albany on Thursday.
Our football team has also started really strong this season. They are 2-0 and have beat 2 really good teams with Summit and then had a great battle with Mountainside this last Friday. They will play home this week on Friday against Lake Oswego.
We opened the school year strong last week and had a great welcome back assembly where the students and staff showed their support and school spirit.
We also announced our homecoming themes for this year for hallway decorating and the parade. Our themes are freshmen with Monopoly, sophomores with Ticket to Ride, juniors with Clue, seniors with Candyland.
Homecoming will be filled with a lot of great events. This will be September 30th through October 4th. We will have some big community events coming up that we would like to make sure you all know about.
Number 1, our Silverton High School open house on Wednesday, October 2nd. We would love for our community to come to the high school and see all the great things we have going on, with clubs, athletics, academics, and our hallways. We would love to have you all come. It will be from 5 to 7.
Then we have our fun homecoming day on October 4th, filled with so many great things. First, we will have our assembly that day. Then we will have the parade at 4 p.m., the Future Fox Fair to follow, which is for K through 5th grade, the football game at 7, and then the bonfire to follow.
The homecoming dance will be on Saturday, October 5th at the high school, and then we will go right into the Tree of Giving fundraiser.
The club/activities fair is also coming up for our school. It will be during AG, and it is for current club and athletic programs to recruit members and show what the high school is all about.
We are excited about all this upcoming school year where our focus is to be great Foxes who exemplify our Fox values of respect, dignity, compassion, and inclusion.
Thank you everyone for all of your support and hard work to ensure we have the best school year possible. Go Foxes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right,
Great job,
aye.
you guys. Thank you.
Good job. Okay. Skills USA results. Who doing with that?
Hello, my name is Haley Meyer, and I'm here tonight representing Skills USA, and thank you for the opportunity to share about our national competition. We left for Atlanta, Georgia on the Red Eye on Sunday, June 23rd, and came back on the Red Eye on June 29th, arriving home at 9 a.m. We competed Monday through Friday as a part of the Oregon delegation. Everyone who competed was an Oregon State champion from our contest in April. We had 18 people represent Silverton and did very well. We were the only school from Oregon to place in the top 5, which we did twice, and we were the only school from Oregon to have all of our skills in the top 90% for our competitors. Most competitions have around 50 competitors. Our 2 top 5 finishers was second place Agriculture Science Career Pathways, Christina Terhar, Logan Gray, and Joanne Nordum, and 5th place Human Services Career Pathways, Simone Bush, Haley Meyer, and Naya Hihena. The Career Pathway competition gives you a chance to showcase your career pathway and the skills you learn to make a difference in your community. Our Ag Science group shared about Food for America, and our Protective Services group shared about water, fire, and electrical safety. Common things everyone should know, but few tend to remember. Our other competitors did great, with Jimmy Rankin placing 9th in medical terminology, Michaela Chase, Faith Kloffenstein, and Cole Perez placing 11th in Arts and Communications Career Pathways, Ben Enrique Solano placing 19th in Welding Fabrication, Kyla Welch and Christina Baldwin placing 21st in Digital Cinema, and Samantha Long, Bryn Kelsey, and Carissa Wolf placing 23rd in Crime Scene Investigation. This was my second year going to nationals. We won national championship last year and took 5th this year. This opportunity lets us meet other people, but also gives us a chance to show off what we are doing in Silverton. Our school offers opportunities that other schools do not, and we are proud to have a chance to showcase our firefighters, farmers, construction workers, health occupations, crime scene investigators, and media art teams that have been in the top tier in not just Oregon, but the United States. Our group will be at the Community Open House on October 2nd, and we hope to see you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Well done.
congratulations.
Thank you. Kirsten, principal report. Come on down.
All right, good evening. Well, I'm presenting on the high school. I say Scotts Mills and Jaguars a lot, so it's really hard for me to remember where I'm at right now. But just a couple of things to report on the high school. A lot of things to report. The students did a great job sharing some really great things that are going on. I wanted to start a little bit just kind of the impact of last year and what we're learning as we go. Obviously, we knew last spring was challenging and chaotic, and we didn't know where people were going to be when they got here in August when teachers came back. And so as we planned our in-service for our staff, we had it all planned out, and then it was like the weekend before we were like, oh boy, like maybe we aren't ready for this. Like, what, we kind of really had to rethink it. And so did some shifting and really took some time we took some tips actually from Kim Kellison had done with our admin staff, and had some healing circle, which scared people away. So we called it a healing activity because healing circles is a little scary. And so did spend some time kind of talking about how last year impacted people, their concerns for this year, and then how can admins support them. And people worked in their tables as their departments and then wrote it down, and we spent some time just reflecting on that, and then that prioritized our week. And so it was a great way to see where our staff was coming back. So coming back knowing that what that impact where the staff was, and then, we knew class sizes were going to be bigger. That was a guarantee. Losing staff. Some of the things we didn't know, we're learning as we go. Like the impact of not having a copy room person seemed like, I was like, not a big deal. Why is that a big deal? Oh, it's a big deal. So there's things like that. Nursing hours, when that gets decreased, how the office staff has to shuffle to make that work. And so we're just working really hard to, as we're discovering those needs, figuring out how can we adjust to make it work. And our team meaning everybody at the high school, staff, teachers, office staff, administration, everyone working together to make that happen. We've been super lucky. We thought this year, let's see if we can get some parent volunteers at the high school. High school kids aren't really super excited about their parents volunteering, but we put out a flyer at registration and said, would you be interested in volunteering? And it was different things, ASB events. We didn't put chaperoning dances on there. ASB events, welcome kiosk, copy room, different things. And we had quite a few parents that offered. So we had 3 moms that helped last week in the welcome kiosk, and they sat there from 8 to 10 in the morning and just welcomed people. And it was, first week of school chaos, and they were just there to grab someone's lunch, answer the phone if needed, let people in when the door wasn't working, things like that. And so it was really great. And so we're definitely hoping to kind of keep that going with the community. And the more we can get our community in the building, the better, we think. It's just really a great opportunity for people to see how great Silverton High School is. So just kind of learning as we go how we can make those changes and kind of adjust and move forward. So startup, Fox Preview Days, we had a great turnout at registration. With online registration, it kind of has dwindled a little bit, and so it's a lot of time and work to have the Fox Preview Days, and we need to do it, but then with online registration, you don't know if people are going to show up, but they did, and we had a great turnout. We sent a feedback form to all the families after, and we had really great feedback. Also some suggestions on how to make things work. I always, it's always great when you bring people in the building and you're doing events like that, is to ask for feedback. It kind of makes you cringe sometimes when you ask, but the goal is that you can find out ways to make it better and more. We got some great ideas of ways to make it better. So our team is already planning ahead for next year. In-service week was great. We focused a lot. We did, like I said, the healing activity, focused on the why of AG. So we do have AG, our advisory group is 4 days a week. So going to a 7-period day. We have AG Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, not on Wednesdays, and really getting back to why we do it and making that connection, those connections with our students. Alyssa Ogle and kind of takes the lead in the AG department, and she's doing a great job in getting that back organized and really focusing on that. Some time with kind of updating policies and procedures with half a new admin team, and just with we only had half an admin team last year, and then Teresa and I are new coming in, really kind of refocusing kind of what our goals are and where we're putting our time this year. And then really back to the basics, focusing on what makes Silverton High School great. We know it's a strong culture, it's our Fox values, and taking care of kids and each other, and that's really what we need to do this year, is taking care of the kids and each other. Week 1 last week, at the end of the week, I got some texts from people, how'd it go? You make it? Like a lot of Scotts Mills teachers were like, how'd it go? And I was like, same chaos as Scotts Mills, right? It's a school. It's the first week, no matter what. There's always just crazy, different level, obviously at a high school, more kids, but it was great. The energy here is awesome. Like people told me that, and it's true. Like it's just positive. It's awesome. The kids are great. We had our first assembly, they said, and they were like, oh my gosh, 1,300 kids, and they want me to speak? Like, 150 is a lot. The kids are awesome. They were super engaged, the whole assembly. Teachers did a great job. They sat with their students, and it was just awesome. The kids here are great. You hold the door open, they say thank you, you say good morning, they say good morning. It's just really a great place to be. So we spent last week talking about our Fox values. We, as many of you have heard, rolled out the new electronics policy, which is not a new electronics policy. It's actually our current electronics policy. We're just working hard to enforce it. So this means that from bell to bell, not 7:55 or not 8 to 3:10, but during each period, we're asking students to have their phones put away, meaning in their backpack, in their locker, not in their back pocket, not on their desk, not in their hands. And when we sent out the message, we sent it out to parents, we sent it out to the students. When the parent one went out, I was like, phone, I thought we were sending it out later, and we sent it immediate, and the phone rang a couple times. You have a couple people who aren't going to like it, but the feedback has been amazing. I think I had 4 or 5 emails pretty quickly from parents saying thank you. Mr. Lassier back there just said thank you when I was standing by him. I had multiple people just saying this is great, and actually it's been pretty awesome. I want to read an email I got from a parent. I will try not to cry because I'm a crier. So is Kim, so I appreciate that about her. We received an email on Thursday.
We're all crying together.
We all cry together. This is a parent of 2 upperclassmen, so this is their day 2 for her kids. And she wrote, I just wanted to extend a quick thank you for the new cell phone policy. Oh, see, here it goes. My daughters hated last year, mainly because they had, in their words, no social interactions, because everyone was glued to their phones at all times. It was a struggle to even get them to attend school. It was so bad. In one single day yesterday, they said they had more interactions and made more friends than they had the entire prior year, in just one day. They came home happy, 3 exclamation points. I have been harping this message for years about the phones, and I am so delighted to see something being done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This action may have saved them from dropping out and going for GEDs instead. Please share my thank you with any staff you feel appropriate. I genuinely mean a heartfelt mama thank you. And so I think that is really overall what we're hearing. And we have students on 504s, and we have students with needs that have to have their cell phones. Students whose parents have very good reasons that they want, but they can have their cell phones. Their cell phones are on them unless they choose to not follow the rules, and then they may need to come to the office, and in that instance we'll follow through with that process. But it's been really great. And I just was telling Sheldon, like, kids they have their phone and they're like I mean, even like week 2, here in the hallway. So it's just, we're going to have our issues, and we know we're going to have those issues. We've talked with McNary, who did this a couple years ago, and they've shared the uphill battle for the first few months. But we're seeing, we feel really good about the gains we're going to see and the engagement that kids hopefully are going to gain, both socially and academically. Obviously, academics are very important. But what this mom wrote speaks to my mom heart, what I want for my own kids. So, and the battle that I fight every day in my own home. So that's just really exciting. So I think the switch from block schedule to a 7-period day is a challenge. It's just busier, faster, and just a transition for our staff, but it's just going to take some time, and it's pretty exhausting. People are sharing that, but getting through the first few weeks and getting into that. Let's see, just talking a little bit about class sizes. We prioritize those underclassmen and concept level classes. For the lower class sizes, really trying to keep those classes smaller. There's a few areas where we still are working, just new students coming in, transfers and other new students that we didn't expect that causing some class sizes, but Mr. Mulligan is working hard on that. Let's see. We're really focusing on moving forward, really trying to be positive as we work through those challenges, not dwelling on the past, but how can we move forward? We know change is hard. I hear often that I'm the 6th principal in 8 years at Silverton High School, and that's hard for people. Change is hard. We're just trying to move forward and keep things like focusing on the kids, on the staff, and what's best. And we remind everybody that we can do hard things. We're educators, we've done hard things, and we can do hard things. Our students did a great job. I do want to make sure I extend the community open house invite. That is for our entire Silverton community. We saw great community support last year. So many people donated time, money, just general support, and we want to open our hallways. They decorate, our ASB does an amazing job decorating our hallways, and we want to really show them off and invite people into our school to see the great things that happen. So Melissa Ogle and our ASB, and they're working on some really great things. So hopefully the community comes to see, and also just make sure, if you haven't RSVP for the FFA dinner before the next board meeting, you can send it to me, but they're planning a little presentation for you in the FFA building and dinner. I don't know what it is, but that's the plan.
And October 4th is the open house?
October 4th is the game, so October 2nd. So it's
Second.
Wednesday night. Yeah, so the halls are all decorated and they invite people to come through. I'm not sure, I know Kirsten Barnes was involved in the planning, and they're trying to get team clubs and teachers to be here and do some fun stuff to get people in our building. So, questions?
No questions. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
your flexibility and perseverance and all the great things that sound like it's going on in the staff and the students and yourself. So thank you.
It's a good place. Thank you.
KJ.
Yeah.
You're crushing it.
Oh,
And you're
thank you.
such a fan.
I always have a question. I'm like, thank you.
Thanks, Kirsten.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a spokesperson for Silver Falls Education Association. Or spokespersons, I should have said.
Look at that skirt.
There's safety in numbers, you know? So good evening, school board members. Congratulations to Phil and Derek on your new positions on the school board. This is the first time we've got to address you and extend our congratulations. And we're really looking forward to working with you guys this year. Phil, I have to say it was awesome seeing you at the district kickoff and getting to visit with you a little bit. It's nice seeing the faces out and about. I know you have to work and whatnot, but not that you don't, of course. But anyway, it was just great seeing you out there. So we wanted to remind everybody of the purpose of the Silver Falls Education Association address and who we are. I'm Lori Wire, and I'm the president. Katie Pantovich is our vice president. She's not here at this time. Emily Rayo is our secretary, and Aaron Scott is our new treasurer this year. The SFEA board address started with our former president, Michelle Stadley, to ensure that the school board, and by extension the public, understood the working conditions for licensed staff. We ensure that our students are at the center of every choice that we make. Their learning environment is our working environment. So it is essential to understand the realities that we face every day. And that includes our best days, like celebrating the students that are placing at nationals. Congratulations to the Skills USA winners. But also on our most challenging days. This school year started off with mixed emotions. On our first day back 2 weeks ago, we walked through the halls of our buildings, greeted by friends, colleagues, and familiar faces who used to teach elsewhere in our district. We also walked by empty classrooms, visible scars from the events of the past 6 months. We reconnected with colleagues we hadn't seen in the last 3 months, and we prepared to welcome our students back into the building. While we want to move forward, we are reminded of the questions of how we got here and what happened every time we look across the hall and see an empty classroom, or when a student asks, "Why isn't so-and-so here this year?" The district kickoff is the one time a year when all district employees gather in the auditorium, and usually it's standing room only. But the empty seats served as another stark reminder of what our district has gone through, with nearly a quarter of those seats remaining empty as we started the new year. Everything has changed in Silver Falls in a matter of months. We don't know what challenges lie ahead. They are unknown to everyone and honestly resemble the uneasiness that was the 2021 school year. People are doing jobs that they've never done before and taking on extra responsibilities to fill the gaps. But amidst these changes, the culture of how we interact with each other and work together has taken a drastic turn for the better. For the first time in forever, teachers could work a large majority of the in-service week in their classrooms. They could collaborate with their new colleagues and learn the new dynamics of their buildings. This unity and collaboration within the district is a testament to our resilience and adaptability. and we want to thank our district and building leaders for hearing us and making the effort to provide that crucial time. We are also so very grateful to our community, which stepped up to support teachers, staff, and students throughout the summer. It was magical to see everything come together. Community members organized meals for students before the summer meal program began, offered support for teachers struggling due to layoffs, and donated time and resources to ensure that students had everything they needed to start the school year off on the right foot. We also wanted to thank everyone who worked on getting the free breakfast and lunches for all of our students. It took a village to implement it, and we are so excited to have that available in our district. As the school year progresses, we want to remind you, as school board members, to look at what choices will be best for students across our district. Make sure you're getting the whole story and welcoming feedback from everyone. Superintendent Kellison has put her best foot forward in reimagining the culture of this district, and for that, we are extremely appreciative. But that responsibility also falls to you. What kind of district do you really want us to be? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And do we have a spokesperson or spokespersons for our Oregon School Employees Association? Okay. Okay, now's the time of the meeting where we'll have public comment. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand to be recognized by the board chair. If attending remotely, please use the raise hand feature within Zoom. For the record, please provide your name and relationship to the district. Please keep individual remarks to 3 minutes. If speaking as a representative on behalf of a group of 3 or more, comment time can be extended to 5 minutes. A second public comment period will occur later in the meeting that is specific to discussion and action items only. The board will not hear complaints against individual district staff or board members during public comment. Please understand that the board's primary role is to listen, and you will likely not receive an immediate response. Finally, remember, we all model the way for our students and ask that you share your thoughts respectfully and in accordance with the Silverton Falls School District Board Decorum Agreement. Do we have anyone that would like to speak? Yes, come on down. And if you provide your name and relationship to the district.
Sure. All right, take your breath. Okay. My name is Sherry Thompson. I am a second grade teacher this year at Butte Creek. I know probably many of you know why I'm here today. I'm actually speaking not just on behalf of myself, but our other two K and K1 teachers. I've been a teacher at Butte Creek. I started 18 years ago, so yep, I'm old now. And I have never faced a challenge like I have this year. Currently, I have 34 second graders in my classroom. I have 3 additional students in the SLP classroom, 2 of which, are making plans at some point here soon to start mainstreaming in my classroom. So to give you an idea, that is 36 seats for 7-year-olds. I cannot tell you how impossible my position is right now. A big shout out to Kim. Kim has been amazing. I have gone back and forth with her probably 6 times, maybe more, with emails, sharing my concerns with her and just how really impossible this ask is. I have a freshman in high school this year for the first time, and he shared some of his class numbers. I've even spoken with middle school teachers, hearing one of our middle school teachers telling me her largest class is 36 students. I'm like, oh, I'm right there with you, but I have 7-year-olds. One thing I want to make clear, I know, many of you have had some experience. I know your wife, Jennifer, worked in my classroom for a couple weeks when one of our employees was out. And when we teach young primary students, and primarily most of my experience is in first grade. This year I changed to second because of layoffs and things that had to happen in our building. And we teach in small groups. I have students all the way from, I have actually 2 new students that both came in on IEPs this year, one for behavior, one for serious academic losses. I have 3 students learning to write their name right now. I have about a third of my class that's reading on grade level or above, and I have somewhere in the middle there about 13 students reading below grade level. If it is not possible to teach them as a whole group, they have to have differentiation. I have to be able to run small groups. Right now, I have been racking my brain the last week staying up till very late, working in my classroom, even some nights till 7 o'clock, trying to figure out how to do small groups with this group. And what I'm finding is, even if I'm to pull back a small group, that would still leave 30 students to have to work independently in my classroom. There is not even physical space to rotate that many students around my room. I feel like I've been given a class that I'm supposed to stand up in front of and lecture, and that is not possible for 7-year-old children. They can't stay in the same spot all day long. Kim, when she came today, she actually visited our classrooms to see, and it's not just my classroom. Our straight kindergarten right now has 27 students. Our K1 has 28 students. Our K1 is very lopsided. We have 5 kinders and 23 first graders. Any new first graders coming into our building will have to go into that classroom. Another thing that we're not taking into consideration is our SLP students. We house both SLPs for the district. We have to include those students in those numbers. In order for those students to make future goals, they have to be able to mainstream in our classrooms. And right now, it is very difficult for any of those students to have any space in our room. Even Mrs. Draper, I have a lot of parents here tonight supporting me, and she's even shared with me, she has one student that's really ready to go right now. But she's like, I don't know that I can put that student in the room. Just the amount of bodies in there, the noise level, it is not possible. So we're literally limiting these children from making future goals to be able to mainstream because of the size of my class. And we are begging for another teaching position in our building. Another thing that I thought of this weekend is I was thinking, like, it's really too bad we don't have our K2 numbers from last year. Last year we had 83 K2 students, and we had 5 staff members to teach those K2 students. Now that might have been a little bit much, right? We know that from looking at numbers and things like that. But this year we have 96 actually, if we include our SLP students, 96 K2 students for only 3 of us to teach. So if you do the numbers on that, 96 students for 3 teachers in K2, our most needy kids that need to be taught using small group instruction. And we are really struggling, super struggling. I mean, I can't tell you how many of us have been in tears trying to figure out how to run our classrooms. And I understand that there are a lot of classrooms around the district that are struggling, but right now our school is struggling tremendously. Just this year, so we ended last school year in June with 282 students. That was our enrollment. Right now we're at 305. So we have gained 23 new students in enrollment just since the last day of school. That right there is a whole class of kids. And so we are pleading with you to do something. And I know there's been talks about putting an aide in my room. Mr. Palmer's been really awesome about trying to give me extra help, because right now I have the largest primary classroom in the district for K2. And even with extra adult bodies in the room, it's still another adult body. And we're struggling even to get around chairs. I had to bring in a 6-flower table, which are the tables that only seat 6 students, and we are crammed. My carpet seats 30. I have 30 cubbies in my classroom. I've put extra Velcro circles. Kim was taking pictures today of all of us at the carpet and how we don't fit.
30 seconds.
So I think that's all I have to say, but I just am pleading with you to please look at our numbers and look at and see that we can justify another teacher in our building. Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have anybody online before we? Any hands raised?
We have one at the
We
back.
have
It's
no,
about
Go
us.
online first.
No hands raised online at this time.
Okay. And yes, come on. Identify yourself, relationship to the district. You know the drill.
My name is Kelly Strawn, and I'm a parent, and I'm representing myself.
Okay, so 3
I
minutes.
just have 2 quick things, and I wrote them down so that I don't forget. But my family had an experience this weekend related to one of our kiddos' sports activities, and it revealed to me that it might be worth taking a look at how we prioritize use of the school facilities. I know you're talking about facilities use later in the meeting, and I don't know if that's just around making adjustments to the fees and those kind of things to kind of bring it to a more break-even level. But I'm asking that maybe you could also take a peek at how the community groups, and I was trying to remember from the agenda, I think maybe category 2 or something is community groups that are serving primarily youth. And we had an experience this weekend where our daughter, who happens to have special needs, she was scheduled to participate in an activity, a sports activity for kids with special needs, and their activity got bumped because of weather and smoke and things that are completely out of our control. but they got bumped by another youth sports activity. And it just felt a little bit like the message was this activity is more important than your activity. I personally think that we can find some really creative ways to solve problems like this. I think generally people can be flexible. Our group was relatively small, probably could have been pretty flexible, but instead of, to my knowledge, instead of that conversation happening and finding like a good solution, we were just canceled. And for those of us, although we are a small group, it was just kind of a bummer, I guess. So within the facilities use, I wonder if we could have a discussion, or I guess you could have a discussion, or whoever makes the decisions could have a discussion about when things like that happen that are just like act of God kind of weird things, how do we try to prioritize within a group? Like this wasn't a bump for a school activity, it was a bump for another, should be kind of equal, you know, equally considered community group that's serving youth sports. And in our case, again, because it was like a small group, but serving an important group of kids with special needs, it was a bummer. My second thing I'll say in 30 seconds or less, which is I had forgotten about this. I meant to talk about it in the spring when I noticed it. I was at Robert Frost again tonight for a different sports practice, and I don't even know if this is the right venue. If it's not, tell me where to send the email. But there is a wheelchair accessibility issue at Robert Frost that I think could be solved really quickly, and that is where you access the athletic fields for evening and weekend activities. It's like a small man gate on the, I guess it would be like northwest side of the building where that porta potty is. And there's a step that can't be traversed by a wheelchair, a power wheelchair anyway. And I think like maybe just a little bit of gravel or something could make that totally usable. Since I was there tonight, it was on the front of my mind, and I was planning to speak anyway. So, again, if that should go somewhere else, let me know.
I think the man's in the room.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I
Thank
think
you.
we've got people
We'll
here
pass
that
that
will
on.
hear that. Thank you, Kelly. Okay. Do we have anyone else in the room that likes to speak? Anyone online?
No hands raised online.
Okay, we'll move on to our next step then. Administrative staff reports, and so, guess first one up was finance. Kim Dowd. Is that right?
For you. Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you. Yes, good evening, everybody. In just a moment, we'll have some slides come up here for you, so wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody. Good evening. Wanted to let you know our finance team is extremely busy continuing to close out the 2023-2024 fiscal year while also actively very strategically managing the current 2024-2025 budget. So we're going to be talking about two different fiscal years again still tonight. We will be doing this for a couple more months, and I'm just going to make sure we help clarify because it can be very confusing to be shifting gears, but they are extremely intertwined. So want to tell you tonight some updates to the 2023-2024 financial reports. All of the financial reports are, of course, available on Board Book, but you'll notice some changes over the August report. Our expenses in the 2023-2024 school year are now complete. And with that, we discovered, as we're preparing for our audit, we had some remaining grant funds available that allowed some expenses that were in the general fund to be reclassed into these grant funds. So in essence, it's reducing expenditures within the general fund. We also had some unanticipated revenues that have been coming in over the last couple of months. Some of that includes some Medicaid revenue, E-rate, which is a federal reimbursement program for certain utilities and projects. We had a substantial refund from one of our vendors. We noticed a little bit of a discrepancy on an invoice and looked into that. Got a very nice refund on that. And then we received some what are known as American Rescue Plan, HCY, Homeless Children and Youth Funds. So this is a carve out of the ESSER 3 funds for a very specific purpose. We have been working for about 9 months on the reports to make sure they meet the guidelines, and they seem to go back and forth and back and forth. Those funds actually did come in as well, so increasing revenues on that side. I also, on the August report, had some expenditures encumbered that we expected to be paid out by August 30th. Those invoices did not arrive by August 30th. Since August 30th, those invoices, of course, have now arrived, but those will now be addressed in the next fiscal year, so we'll talk about that. But all of these pieces put together, what it means is it has increased what I have projected for our 2023-2024 ending fund balance. So at the time that our budget was built, we were, and even as recently as your August financial reports, we were projecting an ending fund balance for, again, 2023-24 of about $1,060,000. We are now projecting that our ending fund balance could be closer, more in the range of $1.3 million. So that is finally a little bit of positive financial news. And I must emphasize, though, this is a projection until our audit is complete. The audit will not be completed until right at the end of the calendar year. But I am kind of jumping ahead to see if maybe I could be ready to get that audit started a little sooner, earlier in the line, get it done so that we know exactly where we are at. Additionally, in your financial reports for this month, I have added a new page into this financial report. Page 4 is a summary of our special revenue funds, which includes our grants and programs, and it shows where each grant and program started out the 2023-24 school year, shows the revenues by program, expenditures by program, and then what was the net difference for that one program within the year. You'll see on this page that the general fund transferred $642,000 into these special revenue funds to attain a positive ending fund balance of only $89,000. So want to stop and think about that the transfer appropriations that are in our budget are critical each year. But of course, this is a multi-year problem that was part of the report presented by OASBO, and showing that we had multiple accounts that had deficits for many years. Unfortunately, even after these significant transfers, we do have a number of multi-year deficits that remain, as shown on that report. I do want to point out, as people are looking at this report, there are some programs that are showing negative balances as of June 30th. These shown on this slide, specifically the negative balances, are due to timing. Title 1A, that is a federal grant, and their fiscal year runs October 1 through September 30th. So we will have revenue coming in after the cutoff of our fiscal year, which is still within the grant fiscal year. And so additionally, we have grant claims for these additional programs that are still pending. So I just want to emphasize that the negative balances on these grants and programs shown here are purely a timing issue, not an overspending issue. However, that does mean that we do have a number of programs on here that do continue to have a negative balance. And one option with a projected ending fund balance approximately $300,000 higher than anticipated, one consideration would be to utilize some of these funds to address more of the multi-year deficit that remains. In a typical year, this would likely be the approach. I can't say it's not a surprise to anyone, we're not in a typical year. So what we are proposing tonight, and Superintendent Kellison's going to speak about this more in a moment. Instead, it would be our suggestion that we do not utilize that additional ending fund balance. And as an ending fund balance in 2023-24 equals a beginning fund balance of 2024-25, with this increase, it would provide a very small amount of breathing room for additional resources in a very, very tight 2024-2025 budget. So this is where our conversation turns to the current 24-25 fiscal year. As Superintendent Kellison will share momentarily, we're going to propose that we allocate a maximum of $250,000 of this projected increased ending fund balance to address some of our most critical staffing needs. But this means we will need to continue to address these multiple year deficits in special revenue funds in both 24-25 and likely into 25-26 to fully recover that. And again, I just want to emphasize again that this projected ending fund balance increase in 23-24 and of course then the resulting increased beginning fund balance is a projection based on the best information I have available at this time, with a very complex fiscal year having come to a close. Until that audit is complete, these are projections to the best of our ability. I would not be sharing this with you if I did not have a certain level of confidence, but again, these are projections.
An example would be if we had this scenario normally, this would just get added to the ending fund balance for 24-25, right? So it would just, our ending fund balance would be a little bigger. But clearly there's some pretty serious need in the district. So we're trying really hard to be creative about how we help teachers and our staff members.
Yeah, should there be a change when the audit is complete, should this projection not be there, we would need to reevaluate our financial position at that time. But we wanted to share where we're at every moment. Things are very, very fluid, and we want to bring you into this conversation. So moving on further into 2024-2025.
Kim, before you
Yes.
move on, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
What's a negative consequence, if any, of leaving, not paying off those negative deficits?
So the biggest concern that comes with that is honestly in terms of cash flow. So our special revenue funds, if we look at that report, there are a lot of line items on there, right? And so you look at it and you say, okay, that's great, but let's say one of our line items that has a very healthy balance, such as our student agency accounts. Let's say they want to make a great big investment and they spend their cash, right? Well, all of a sudden, now we have a cash flow issue because in a sense, that fund has a positive balance, but within it, these sub-funds, if you will, in essence, they're borrowing against each other. And we all know in our own worlds, in our own lives, when, you start maxing out credit cards and you don't make the payment, and all of a sudden an extra bill comes in or the fridge goes out and I don't have a card with room on it and I don't have cash in the bank, and now I have a problem to make sure my lights don't go out. So we really, the fund at the parent, we call it the parent level, the 200 funds, which are all our special revenue funds, that balance is positive right now, and it will remain positive at the end of the year, but it's always a concern when you, in essence, are carrying debt.
We would want to prioritize those in the next budget cycle. So you would want to, and with the proposal that the governor has for the increase to the current service levels that she's already talked about, we're pretty confident that that's going to happen. But the district has a lot of needs, and so prioritizing those. But we would want to make sure that, because we're kind of punting right now, right? It's like Oregon and the kicker runs the punt back. That's kind of what we're doing today. This has been a very difficult process, and it will require us to prioritize that when we build the 25-26.
And just for context, we still we're getting less for Measure 98, right? And
As of right now, the grant agreement shows a reduction of approximately 92,000 from budgeted. There is a lot of advocacy going on.
Okay, so that's not necessarily final. And then there
No,
was,
the governor is meeting with the board to talk about that in September, so anytime. And we're hoping that we'll see a positive fix on that.
and there was one other grant fund that we were getting less than we thought.
But that's
The
for
other-
24, 25.
Yeah,
the state
the
school
other
fund.
item I think you're referring to is our state school fund estimate
Got
after
it.
our budget was adopted was reduced by $500,000.
That's it. Okay, so those two things are still at play.
They are.
But
But
could
those are
change.
24, 25 things. This is really hard because we work in 3 budget years. So we're trying to wrap up 23, 24. We're in 24, 25. And then we're starting to build 25, 26. That's why when I say, I have a list, if you come in my office right now, I have a list on the left side of my board of things that have to go back in the budget that I understand are important to the district. So I'm constantly jotting things down. I probably should put that on a private sheet, huh? I'll just have it up on the board.
I have
but-
a file that's growing over it. I
Yeah.
mean, anytime something comes up, it goes in the 25, 26 budget file because, there are anomalies that happen. There are, as I've shared, preparing for the PERS rates. There are a lot of things that are constantly moving, and so we are definitely becoming very nimble at at adjusting. So, yeah.
If we make and if I'm getting ahead of myself, stop me.
Absolutely.
I mean, if it's going to be later in what Kim is
Yeah, I'm
going to
gonna
be
keep going
presenting.
with
But
this, yeah.
if we do something to try to get some money freed up to spend in a couple of really hot spots for us, and then the projection at the audit, when the audit comes in, it doesn't come out the way we thought it would, what then?
We would then need to reevaluate our financial position at that time. By that time, we will know what the fall enrollment, I'm trying not to use our technical terms. We will, in early December here, statewide fall enrollment. We will get an updated state school fund estimate in December. That is the first time, literally about halfway through your fiscal year, that you really get a picture of what you're going to get for funding in your primary source of funding. You're about halfway through your year before you really know what did every district's October enrollment report, and every district in the state submits an October enrollment report, and the district looks at that and says, okay, Silver Falls, you are still at 0.06% of statewide enrollment, and it actually goes out to about 11 digits of a fraction. But what is our cut, essentially, of the state school fund? That is essentially what it comes down to, is what percentage of statewide enrollment does our district entail. So when we start talking about enrollment numbers, we get one new kid enrolled, and we're woohoo, let's do it,
We're holding our own there. Yeah.
Although then we go, oh, but not in that classroom, right? So I mean, exactly.
Not in Sherry's classroom.
Not in Sherry,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And
We only
then
need
a,
36,
and then a
yeah.
follow-up,
So-
our ending fund balance with the projections on our state money being 500,000 less than what we budgeted. So we know basically half of our in the fund balance is gone right now, based on that. Correct?
Could
Am
be.
I-
It could be. We really
Yes.
believe that estimate is a little bit low. We really believe, on paper, yes, on paper it reduced by $500,000. We believe I will say I have definitely gun shy in projecting revenue
Right.
for rightful reasons.
Right.
Projected our enrollment lower than what we believe we might be coming in at.
Knowing that,
Which is
where-
great news, right?
Yes. Knowing that, where's the tipping point of making payroll at the end of the year? How much more or
Yep.
any more of
Yep.
that can go anywhere and we not be at risk?
I believe if let's say we know we need to support some staffing needs, if that ending fund balance remains at 1.3, we use roughly 200-ish, 250 maybe, to address some immediate staffing needs. Right now, I feel confident that we are going to see other pieces come together to make up. I believe state school fund is not going to come in $500,000 less. I believe it's going to come in a lot closer to what we budgeted. But until I see it, I am not counting those chickens, right? Yeah. I am nervous. I will say there is a line item in the 2024-2025 budget that, should there be greater concern, there is about $502,000 budgeted for transfers to deficits in other funds. And this could include special revenue funds, this could include debt service funds, this could include insurance funds, unemployment funds. Kim's going to talk a lot more about this, but there could be some additional pieces that could help supplement that. Cash flow, I don't know that I'm ready to answer that yet. That remains my largest concern.
That Plan B that she just talked about, that was my Plan A until she did a bunch of number crunching over the weekend, and she's like, okay, we're in a better situation. So we believe that we have this $250,000 that we can utilize for some additional staffing, and then that's our backup plan, right? Is to not pay quite so much in the transfer line, in the 5,200 line, right?
That would be correct. That would be the backup plan. Should the state school fund truly come in $500,000 low, I believe our enrollment is going to be higher than what I budgeted at to help offset, even if that $500,000 reduction is accurate. Gaining 30 or 40 kids more than what I budgeted is going to give us the 300 to 400,000 additional.
And when we build the next one on 25-26, as we build that, we won't have this precarious position, because we will budget at the high end for staffing level, and we will come under we will do a projection of population growth and birth rate and all those different things, and we will adjust. And so we won't budget on 3640 right where we are at. We'll budget at 3540, so that we never have to sit here and have this discussion again, because we'll have cushion built in. We'll build back up the ending fund balance, and those things, that's why districts have those. That's why there is 10% in our policy that is supposed to be in our ending fund balance, so that we don't have to finagle around. This is like the most urgent task I've ever had as a superintendent. This is the weirdest thing I've ever processed, because it has so many unknowns because of how the state configures our budgeting, and what they give us for information isn't always what comes in. And the grant funds aren't always, there's a lot of moving parts in this. For her to be able to manage this is a huge task, and she's doing an amazing job.
If we think back to how many times last year we sat in board meetings and said, yeah, we're kind of still waiting on, $1 million worth of grant money. If that were to happen again, now it's the second year of biennium, I don't have those same concerns this year, but when we are this tight, that type of timing issue, as I was just talking about a claim in our grant system. Sorry, I try not to use all our acronyms, but timing is become very critical when we are this close. I really sat on this. We really went back and forth. We would not be sharing this if we did not think this was feasible and could protect our staff. We fully believe that we can protect our staff within the means we have. But we are counting on things aligning as projected. So
Okay, thanks.
Kim, you mentioned
a lot of ifs, ands, that. Yeah.
You mentioned the audit. Do we know when that will come out? I know obviously there's tremendous need.
Right. So right now we are scheduled with the auditors to start November 2nd. I am trying to beat that and maybe see if they can't get us on a schedule sooner. Right now, our most dire need, though, is, as actually runs us right into the slide talking about our 2024-2025 financial reports. Right now, our most critical need is getting our costs, and that major part of that is, of course, our staffing costs, getting our systems updated with all of the staffing changes and movements, as well as a huge cost for the district is, of course, health insurance. Getting those updated in the next 2 weeks before the September payroll, because that September payroll is crucial for confirming our encumbrances and our staff funding sources to know exactly what our costs are going to be for who's in the door right now, at least for staffing and benefits. Being that that's such a huge part of the budget, not having that for you tonight, and I basically on your 2024-25 financial report on the expenditure section, unfortunately, it was my goal to have all the encumbrances on there. They are not ready to put on there right now. It is making sure every employee is in the payroll system to get an accurate payroll check in September, while we continue to work on revisions for all of our grant funding to determine what funding source is going to cover which positions this year. And there's a very complex dance, if you will, in between the grants of braiding the funds, to use ODE's term that they're using. They're calling it blending and braiding your funds to make sure that you're serving, as much as you can. So your 2024-25 financial reports show our revenue to date, show our expenditures with, as we talked about last month, provide you with percentages of expenditures that have been spent to this point in the year. And that percentage of expenditure, meaning what percent of your budget has been spent, that is such a key point. We've talked about this before. Payroll equates to about 8% per month. 1/12 of your salary is approximately 8 1/3%. So we look at these and say, okay, so I've got, maybe 24% spent on charter school payments. Yep, they've received 3 payments so far this year. So I would expect it to be right at 24%. 1/12 times the 3 is, going to come right in there. So I'd be happy to answer any questions on that, but your October report will include those encumbrances on the majority of our costs for.
Speaking of the percents, can you
Yep.
brief us on the one that's 54%?
Let me find 54.22.
Yes.
Looks like that is on the line for Board of Education. So what that is our annual insurance liability to PACE. It is about $500,000. Excuse me, I apologize. The bill is about $500,000. It's broken out. That represents the portion that's attributable to the board. So it's a educator's liability, falls under that category. But yes, that $147,000 was the 2024-2025 insurance liability, of course.
I think you talked about that previously,
we
but
talked about
it's
that
just
one.
good to refresh.
47.77%, a few lines down on code 2541 is for property liability. So yes, absolutely. We bought a bunch of Chromebooks and software down on the technology line to kick off the school year. We had to purchase another 200 Chromebooks due to they tend not to always stay with us. So yes.
Thank you, Kim.
Are you done, Jennifer?
Yep.
I got a couple questions, Kim. So tell me, understand this. We're asking to take $250,000 out of what exactly?
So that's right now, that $250,000 is unbudgeted revenue that we are going to realize. So in essence, an ending fund balance is what you end 1 year with for cash, if let's say, or a fund balance, which is different than cash, but what you end 1 year with, of course, is what you start the next year with, right? It's an immediate handoff. The budget that you approved in June is built on a $1 million flat beginning fund balance. If that beginning fund balance is 1.33, as shown in my projection, we have $330,000 of funding that we did not anticipate having. The reason I'm giving the $250,000 number is, as I mentioned on one of my slides, we had some expenditures that did not come in as of August 30th. They are now here, and they are approximately $75,000. That was a bill that was delayed for a project here at the high school. So that bill came in literally today and will be a $75,000 expense in 24-25 that was not budgeted, so that that ending fund balance excess will cover that unbudgeted expense.
Okay. So on your special revenue fund, was this you made reference, is this basically the statement that Jackie said we had a lot of accounts that were running negative, and she was kind of talking about these type of stuff in special revenue?
So absolutely, there was a couple of things discussed. We have a number of these were what she was referencing. Also, the second line from the bottom was another section that she was referencing, student body and agency accounts.
That's my next question.
Within that line, there are approximately, at last count, 470 accounts within that one line.
So this is my concern. To my knowledge, what generally, well, I'll let you answer first, because I don't know. What, this money is made up of what? Donations?
It is going to be student fees for athletics.
Okay.
It's going to be donations. It's going to be club fundraising. It's going to be yearbook sales. It's going to be, our schools can kind of talk to more what all the agency accounts. They are funds for which we are essentially a fiduciary. We are the holder of those funds. Now they are public funds, but they are earmarked, is the best way to say it, for individual groups. So let's take our football team, for example. They may have a football team account, they have a football concessions account, they may have another account. So every school has multiple accounts within them. The high school, of course, is our largest user of those accounts, just due to the quantity of clubs, sports. But you could have one sport may have 3 accounts easily. And then you have 3 for the girls' teams and 3 for the boys' teams. And so these funds are controlled by the group that essentially owns those funds.
You can't just go in as the superintendent or the principal and spend those. Those are,
Well, that's what I'm asking, because it looks like they're all lumped in here into one line item. And I'm concerned that some of this money that was put in there for specific purposes.
It is a very specific purpose. And as I mentioned, I believe it's well over 400 separate accounts in there. Yes, in that one line item. And we track those through all of our accounts. When I talk about an account has a 20-digit account number. Yeah. And that account number defines everything about it. And so, yes, it's a very complex process to track those student body and agency accounts.
Because looking at, this is the only thing that gives us a net positive balance at the end of our special
And that is
revenue.
exactly why my response to Owen was, if those student body funds were all of a sudden to be utilized by the majority of those clubs, that fund, and when I talk about the fund, the state's, in our budget, it considers this one fund. Special revenue fund is what you guys approve at the budget level. Within that, we track all these what we call child funds. And then within some of the child funds, we even have other, sub-accounts within them. So it's very complex, but you are absolutely right. If that $828,000 ending fund balance was not there, this account would have a much larger deficit.
So I guess my last question on this would be, we're taking this money as if it's liquid, like we could spend it, but in all reality, if we did, it's not, that money's been earmarked, so to speak, for certain schools.
No.
Correct.
Well, the student body funds.
The student body funds,
Yeah.
correct.
I thought you were talking about the 250
Yes.
we're talking about.
No, the 270, just the agency
The
accounts
270s,
too.
yes.
Because from my
It
knowledge, some of
is-
these principals have sad balances, maybe reserve stuff for rainy days, and it sounds like they may not have the ability to use it, or, because it seems like it's in the district's control, not the individual schools or the donors.
So the expenditures must be authorized by the club or the students
Okay.
themselves.
Okay.
The district does not have authority to charge to those accounts.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
And I mean, if you want to come in and she can show you
Be
that.
more than
Are
happy-
you part of the financial
Yeah.
team that, yeah.
Perfect.
She will give you when Kim starts that group, when we start doing that, she will give you the lesson that superintendents get when they first start working in finance and
I
budget.
was just trying to make sure this 250 wasn't really getting pulled out of that 828 or something.
Absolutely not.
No.
This has nothing to do with the general fund
Yep.
reports that we were talking about.
Yep.
This is a completely separate fund. So
Yep.
when we're talking about an ending fund balance, it has nothing to do with special revenue fund. It is the general fund. And I thank you for that question. We are talking about a general fund ending fund balance. So we do have a general fund. We have special revenue funds. We have debt service funds. We have trust and agency funds. We have internal service funds. So yes, we have a lot of different tracking mechanisms.
Thanks for entertaining me.
So and then the final piece in the report tonight is just the enrollment report. Now this is as of last Wednesday, and then by Friday it went down a bunch, and then by today
kids,
it's actually
yeah.
back to within 3 students of these. I believe
is it?
today was
It's-
3694.
Yep, it's 3694
And this report was at
today.
3697 last Wednesday. So one important piece to note is that every year we anxiously await the 10-day drop. That's the most critical data point, and that will happen next week. After the first 10 days of school, students who have not returned must be dropped from your enrollment. Typical reductions for a 10-day drop can vary widely, so we are anxiously awaiting the updates from our system after next Wednesday to see what that 10-day drop does.
I did have principals send me like no-shows, and it's not,
It's not
It's-
looking too bad.
yeah, it looks
right?
pretty good, really.
Because we
It's pretty
budgeted on
small.
3650, right? That was the-
3640.
3640
40.
actually.
Okay, and on this last line, it's weird, the Silverton High School section, there's
Yeah.
a new 2 numbers there I haven't seen before, 3 and 2 in the 7th and 8th grade categories.
So that is a new way that this report is coming to me, and I kind of went back and forth about pushing those up into Silverton Middle School. However, we have a special services program that is housed at Silverton High School. Can you help explain what that 3 and 2 in the 7th and 8th grade at Silverton High School, those are your
Yeah, so we
students?
have some middle school age students that are in one of the special programs at the high school. So we have 2 programs, a K-6 and a 7-12.
Oh, perfect.
So they are truly still reported as 7th and 8th graders, but these are building capacity, these are building reports, as we're continuing to look at sizes of students per staff member and that sort of thing. Yeah, I could go either way with where those numbers are, but we decided just to leave them the way they're coming out of the system, so.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions
So
for
that
Kim?
kind of concludes what I have for you tonight. Anything else? Kim's gonna go into a lot more detail, so it might be best to
Okay.
wait for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I got a quick question
Sure.
or observation. Just on student numbers, I'm seeing a lot of decreases in some of the buildings, and it's typically elementary. And as I look across the totals in each grade, for instance, we have 324 12th graders, and that number just steadily tapers down, only 222 kindergartners.
You have nailed our top concern is.
That's what we just talked about. When you look
Okay,
at
so
this,
that,
it's
is that,
weighted
is
high
that,
on.
This
yeah,
is
is
a-
that 222 gonna, anyway?
This is a long-term concern for Silver
Okay.
Fall, and, excuse me,
For
for all
everybody.
school districts.
Yeah,
For
okay.
public schools in general.
I will bring you the birth rate information I used in Winston.
Okay.
In June.
All right.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, and superintendent report.
Clicker, my friend? Oh, thank you. Daniel, can you bring my PowerPoint up? Okay, so this is my superintendent's report for September. And maybe. Huh. Oh, there we go. Oops, that's it. Now it skipped ahead. It's being mean to me. Why did you have such an easy time with the clicker, Kim?
I think I broke it, maybe.
Maybe. Okay, I'm gonna give it a second. So our agenda for my report tonight is I'm gonna talk about our kickoff breakfast. I am gonna talk to you, you identified 3 areas during the work session. And I'm gonna talk to you about my plans for my first goal, which I'm gonna call fiscally fit, because I thought that was just really clever. And then I have to make it light, right? And then I'm gonna give you kind of a financial summary about what Kim and Tony and I and Brandon have been working on. So lots of moving parts here. So we did a celebration at the high school this year with our whole staff, and it was really a fabulous time. The high school choir came in and sang the national anthem, and they also entertained teachers when we first came in, which was really great. Our breakfast was sponsored by Willamette Valley Bank and Britton Kelly Saturn of Country Financial. And that's a really generous contribution to the district, and we really appreciate that. I gave a few words of wisdom. Tony gave better words of wisdom. Yeah, we just tried to encourage everybody, and we talked a lot about resilience and the fact that you are somebody's hero, and when you're working in a school, it always makes me feel good when I'm having a bad day, like go out to Butte Creek and walk around, because when you start interacting with kids and seeing kids, it always makes you feel better. Mm-hmm. And so we were trying to make our staff feel better that day, and so we did a raffle, and we had kind of a healing theme. And that was really fun, so we'll definitely do that again. We got lots of amazing feedback from staff. I got lots of emails and lots of accolades for, just really focusing on them and trying to have a positive atmosphere. And so we have some, even better ideas for next year, but we just really wanted to let staff heal and connect. And I think the 2 board members that were there, that was really nice of Aaron and Phil to join us. If anyone else was there, I didn't see you. You could have been. There were like hundreds of people there. But anyway, that was really great. So staffing challenges, never use yellow again on this. Gosh, still learning, hashtag still learning. So we have several classrooms in our elementary buildings with 34 or more students. That's a concern to us. You've heard from Sherry this evening. Megan Dill has 35 kids in her class, but those are older kids. We've got a 4 or 5 blend at Central Howell that's got about 35 kids in it, and then we've got some kindergarten numbers at Robert Frost that are pretty high. So there's spots in the district where there's high numbers. It's not just Sherry's classroom. Food services stretched pretty thin. Office support is a little thin in some areas, but we had some really great help from Yolanda and Heather. So both of them are doing their own work, but remote in other buildings so that they can chip in. So Yolanda's doing translation and helping out at the middle school and doing IEP translation, and she's really she just moved her office over there, and she's really helping Brett Davidson and his crew. And then Heather Johnson, actually, the goodness of her heart, is helping out at Prattam, and she's doing her transportation work from there. And so I think that we've seen some really helpful team spirit in all of this, and and Debbie's done all kinds of weird things. It just reminds you of how we just do what we have to get by, right? So that's been kind of a challenge. And I just talked about that. Okay. We had some ending fund balance concerns for 24-25. So Kim was mostly talking about 23-24. I'm sorry, you guys, this is so confusing. But reductions are projected in the state school fund and the high school success revenue. I do believe that I'm hearing that the high school success thing is going to be remedied. So I'm praying that's true. And then these reduced figures make it difficult to navigate or our current staffing challenges. So we've been trying to dig around, and we've really been pounding the pavement trying to find some extra money for this. So what I want you to know is that, we have options if we have further staffing challenges, but they're not great options. We could do furlough days in 24-25. We're trying to avoid that at all possible costs. We could do an additional TAN at some point to provide funding for emergency staffing issues, but I think That is not we're trying to fix this and we don't want to kick it down the road further. We could do an additional resolution this year for a reduction in force, which means that we could flex our staff or it's, you know, if it's too heavy in one area, reduce a little bit and add back in another area. So when you plan to do a huge reduction like this, it's really hard to, you know, you don't know you're going to have 35 second graders roll into Butte Creek. I mean, that's kind of a strange thing. And so we're having to really pivot. In a normal year, we would have just hired a teacher. We would have done it immediately. When we saw it go over 30, we would have been like, oh, we have to restructure this. Or, you know, as it got higher, you would have rebalanced. And I know that they've tried to do some blending and some different things there to navigate that. So, you know, it's just difficult when we're having these huge staff or huge classroom numbers like that. We could tough it out and see if we get any relief in the budget in areas that we have limited information, like unemployment, health insurance, those different things. Or we could allocate up to $250,000 to increase the projected 23-24 ending fund balance toward the most critical staffing needs. So take part of that projected balance that we think is higher and use it for some staff. I'm sure you know what my recommendation is before I even say it. I think that allocating up to $250,000 of the increase in that projected revenue on the ending fund balance is going to be essential for our critical staffing needs. I think that the morale of our staff will suffer if we don't do that. But most of all, I think the kids will suffer. And I don't want our kids to be impacted. So I think this is I think it's a fix that's not perfect, because I think we really need more than what we have in this proposal. I do believe that this is going to get us through the year probably, and then that way, this is a 1-year problem. Like next year, we will be able, if the current service levels and the budget is better, we will have more ability, and we won't have this huge obligation hanging over our head, right? So that is my recommendation for that. So I just wanted to talk about that real quick and let you know that it is our plan to do that, and take any comments from you if you have any.
Well, I would offer one comment, and while I don't like TANs, I think you used the word or, you know, as you were giving your different options, you used the word or, but it does seem to me like if we do this, the TAN could be a potential fail-safe.
Yeah, it could be.
Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, and you're saying if we move forward with this and then we were in a spot where we didn't have fun, we could look at the TAN as a...
Right.
Projections don't come out.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, that becomes the cash flow concern, right?
That'd be the backstop.
I
Yeah.
don't want to speak for you, but I assume we're all on the same page that we do not want to have those conversations again. But we also have to ensure our staff are not negatively impacted by the financial hits that people took last year. To have 8 days taken out of 2 paychecks for our 12-month employees, 7 or 8 days taken out of 2 paychecks for our teaching staff. I believe it was 5 days taken out of the 4 paychecks. You know, was it 7? Sorry, I apologize. It's a few, yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Well, that's a huge hit to staff, and then that's kids' class time loss too,
Right.
which
100%.
with our big numbers,
This,
we're already not doing as good as we should be for them, and by taking days away, that just compounds.
Yeah.
and given our complexity of our situation, we're going to have to be nimble this year.
Correct.
I mean, if these might be monthly discussions where we have to reallocate and be creative and looking at the budget and looking at, because we have to meet our critical needs, and that's our kids and our teachers. And this is what we're going to have to do. This is, like you said earlier, this isn't a normal year. It's not going to be. And we may have to do this once, twice a year, or twice a month in order to figure things out to meet critical needs. Things could pop up. You know, we may have to do other things down the road because of cash flow. But that's just how we have to operate this year.
And we're trying to be as transparent as possible. So we want you to understand. I mean, like, you guys are getting more emails from me. I swear to God, I will stop at some point. But over the weekend, I just was like, you gotta see this, you gotta see this, you gotta see this, because we're encountering resistance, and it makes sense. Like, when I have a parent email me and say, hey, there's 35 kids in this class, I have to agree and say that's too much. In my personal career as a teacher, I taught English, and I had almost 40, well, I had 39 kids, but they were 7th graders, and it's vastly different than littles.
Oh, yeah.
And so, the bigger kids, we can handle the higher class numbers, and our seat counts look pretty good at high school and middle school. But, I think we did our best to try and project where our needs would be. And, in a couple places, it's not accurate. And so we need to fix it, because it's right for staff and it's right for kids.
Can you touch on, so with this dollar amount, what does that look like? What will that
So that
provide?
will, depending on who you hire, so like a teacher could range from $90,000 with salary and benefits, that would be the low end.
To 160,000.
To
Our teacher
160.
cost range from 90 to 160 for a 1.0.
So it depends.
How does
on-
that work for our callback list? Sorry, Kim, sorry.
We are through, well, Tony could probably talk about the callback list.
Well, because I'm just curious, do we have a say in how we spend that money?
No, you have to take the call back
That's why
order.
I'm asking.
Let's
Yeah.
let Tony answer the
I think-
callback list
yeah,
question real quick,
Okay.
because he has the most.
We have been calling several teachers back. I can actually give, it's a bit of positive news that we have now offered back to every teacher who was on the reduction in force list a position. I will make a little footnote to that, though, was that the last position we filled was a 0.5, so a halftime position. And under the contract, you still make that offer to an educator. And technically, if an educator declines the recall offer, they go off the list. So in transparency to you, yes, I have run through the recall list for teachers. The last 3 of them, though, was because you had teachers that were, 2 of them were 1.0, so they were full-time, and another one was a 0.8, an 8175 teacher. And they declined, a halftime position, and a few of them have already had and received full-time jobs in other districts, which is a good thing. I always encourage that.
It is a good.
And then another one was just very honest in saying that right now they would do better. And I think that person's actually taken a full-time sub job because the 0.5 FTE was just not, that doesn't work for families, right?
So to clarify, if they turn down the 0.5, they're off the recall list?
Our certified contract is a little bit different than classified. The classified contract is based on bands. So if you're full-time, or what they call part-time regular, or part-time less than 20 hours, and if you decline an offer of a less than in that different band, you still remain on the recall list. I read the teacher's contract, which is different from contracts I've run before. I have ran other contracts in other districts where if you recall a teacher to a halftime position and they were full-time, they can decline it and still stay fully on the list.
Okay, so they can stay on the list.
Not under the way the
I don't-
Silver Falls.
Wow,
contract is written.
that's surprising. I mean, that's concerning to me.
And if something was, I will say, because I've also noticed in my career too, that sometimes districts will do things that aren't necessarily consistent with an agreement. So if something was done differently, that was because it wasn't written that way in the contract.
Okay.
You have another question, Derek?
I just want to go back. So it sounded like we would, for that dollar amount, looking at probably 2 additional.
Probably 2
Ish.
teachers, and then, maybe some instructional aid help with another area.
And those would get placed in the highest.
Yeah,
Okay.
highest need categories, correct.
And then my piggyback on into this is because I'm in support of this, Kim, but I'm gonna play the devil's advocate here. How does this work? I mean, the cutoff for, we're saying 2 teachers, we know the makeup of our rooms, right? We're not gonna be coming back here in like 2 weeks and say, hey, my room's unacceptable.
at that level, because now there might be jealousy that establishes, why does this person get help, but I've been emailing for help. I don't know how many emails you're getting answered or getting complaints about this, but I'm sure it's more than two rooms.
The unfortunate thing is that, you know, I mean, this is really about all we have, unless we tap into that other $502,000 that we don't want to touch, because that's to pay back obligations. I think that, you know, we have two people that are prioritized, at the elementary level that have 35, 36 kids. So those, I mean, there's two clear people that really need, two clear buildings that need relief. Now, are there other buildings that have kind of high numbers? Yes, but they're not abnormally high compared to other districts in the state. So they're on the high side, but there are other districts with numbers that size. This class that Sherry has is that's really high. Like that, I've never heard of a second grade class. And normally, like if I was budgeting, when Kim and I start budgeting in January and February, like the ideal figure to use for elementary configuration for classroom numbers is 22 to 25, depending on age level. So that's where you're trying to hit. I mean, that's an ideal world. 22 kids at K1 is perfect usually. And then, you know, 25 as you go up a little bit. And so you actually approach this in a formulaic way, and you try and use, you know, your building configuration, your numbers, but our system is way more complicated than a traditional school system, because we have all these satellite buildings, and the numbers really fluctuate in those buildings. This is not a simple equation like if you had 3 large elementary schools. It's much more complicated. And so there will be ongoing discussions. You guys are going to get way sick of us by the end of the year, because like we're going to have to come in and talk to you about how we're predicting that and how we're doing that math. I mean, it is pure math. And I always told myself I was not good at math, but I think I am good at it now. I've decided. So kids, if you think you're not good at math, you can be. So, I mean, I would recommend that this is an urgent crisis right now. And I think that this is not a long-term fix. Next year in the district, we will have to prioritize where we add those things back.
Well, I know that we're not voting on this. This is not really our thing to vote on. This is something that is in your purview, and you're giving us a courtesy because the budget is so tight. So appreciate that. I would just say that for me, I'm willing to risk the TAN option if we have to, because this is not sustainable. And I just want to say thank you, Sherry, for sustaining. I know that starting the year out like this is not ideal. And the
Morgan.
Yeah.
That's still.
So, yeah, and knowing that you're, you know, even if this happens and your class is going to split at some point, that's hard. And I just want to acknowledge that ideally this would have been taken care of before, and ideally doesn't always work out. I mean, that's happened before in this district, but I just want to acknowledge the time and effort and suffering that you've been through. So thank you very much.
And I think it's critical that everyone understand this is gonna, hopefully doing this will help at 2 of our most critical rooms. But we've got, as you mentioned, 36 in another room, and we've got bubbles other places too. But this is the 2 most critical situations that we can take care of. But there's so many that we can't. And that it's the analogy to blood out of a turnip. I mean, there's nothing left. Yeah. And so that we understand that we understand it's unhealthy numbers in other situations and not ideal for our students or our staff, which is very unsettling for, I think, all of us.
I do have a complete staffing plan for this. that, but I want to meet with our admin team tomorrow. So we meet in the morning at 9. And once I meet with them and we, you know, I think their feedback and their collaboration is really important. And I think that once we do that, then I'll be able to send you guys some information tomorrow, and I'll send you the full plan. And it's very comprehensive, like it has a lot of information on it. So I spent a lot of time on it yesterday because I had to get it out of my brain. Once Kim goes, "Hey, I think we found something." I'm like, okay, like, oh, thank God. So
Dug
anyway,
deeper in the couch.
yeah, dig deeper into the couch, right?
And I know you got a little bit more to go through here, Kim, but I want to say something publicly about just you and your personality in general. You are an amazing person, and watching you work behind the scenes tirelessly and very compassionate person. A lot of people, I think we forget that sometimes you weren't here when all this happened. None of this is your fault, yet you're trying your best to pick up the pieces and put us back together at your expense, your loss of sleep and energy. And so I just want to like say thank you for that, because it is exhausting when you're wanting your care for your teachers, your care for the district, and you're doing everything you can, and you don't even know how it got this way, and you're just trying your best. So just want to let people know that she is working her butt off behind the scenes, doing everything she can.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a
Agreed.
real team effort. We have a really high quality admin team, very high quality, and they really care, and they are really trying hard to fix your problems. Not, you know, not your problems, but the whole district's problems, our problems. Yeah, it's been it's been quite an adventure. I'm taking notes because, like, if someone calls me, I could say, "Oh, don't do that," or "Oh, you should do that." You know, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about my proposed goal, which I like to call fiscally fit. And so this is a collaborative goal with the district financial officer and my admin team to create a balanced budget for 25-26 that supports student achievement while using fiscally fit adjustments and allocations that protect an ending fund balance that falls between $2 and $3 million. I have a range because, well, you know the nimble part. Yeah. So that will be one of my goals if you think that is accurate. I don't really have a smart time. It's kind of a smart goal. It's probably not perfect. I probably could tighten it up a little bit, but it does definitely have a timeline. So first of all, I want to highlight how much your ending fund balance actually should be. So if our total budget is $80 million, which it is roughly that, our ending fund balance should be roughly 10% of that figure, or $8 million. And that's per board policy DB. The state average, I think, is about 8%, and a lot of policy does read 8%. Ours reads 10, and it's in your packet. Kim pointed it out because I had 8, because everywhere I've worked has been 8. But Kim's like, we're at 10. And so at some point, you know, we might want to adjust that policy a little bit. Our ending fund balance is projected at about $1 million in June when I came on board. And it was just slightly over 1%. With a possible adjusted or reduced state school funding figure that was released in July, our new ending fund balance could be reduced to $500,000. And that's for 24-25 again. The numbers Kim was talking about were from 23-24 earlier. So with the budget issues from 23-24 school year, this was a difficult number to maintain, and the district is still vulnerable with a balance this low. So we have to try and get our balance to be higher so that we don't have to have these crazy conversations again. So revenue projections, one of the, you know, there was an article in the Statesman Journal, and she gives us a glancing blow towards the end of the article about the revenue projections being off. But in reality, this was a huge problem in crafting our budget for this year. And so you can see that $2 million deficit. And all of these slides I've included are from Jackie Olson's presentation from ROASBO, because there's no reason to reinvent the wheel, and Jackie's really good at this. We will not have to think about ESSER funds. They're no longer a consideration and won't impact federal funding or allocations. The beginning fund balance to start the 23-24 school year was half of what was budgeted. So those are some issues, right? right there.
These are not, wait, can you go back? These are not current numbers. These were from.
Nope, this is,
okay.
I am giving you a look back about why I have the goal. So, you know, a lot of people have asked us for, you know, how we got here, why we got here. Well, revenue projections and errors in that area is one of the ways we got here. And I think that, you know, when we talk about how we're gonna move forward, I want you to know that these are areas that I'm gonna concentrate on. So we're watching this like a hawk, obviously. So another issue that we had was some over expenditures in general fund, and this is a slide from Jackie's presentation again, and there's, you know, several highlighted areas, and so, you know, we are monitoring things on a I'm gonna say daily basis, basically. We are watching and making sure that we don't overrun these, which is why we talked to you about hiring a couple of teachers with that additional money that we located. So procedures that we've put in place to prevent overspending. So we reduced the number of credit cards in the district from 65 to 23. So that's kind of hard on our teachers, but this gives us more control over what is being charged to a BMO or a P card. Staff members have to have a purchase order approved prior to placing any orders or making purchases. Any requisitions over $2,500 require my approval, which is a bummer for everybody because I'm kind of slow about the requisition visions thing. Sorry. We're doing a quarterly deep dive analysis between the finance officer, the superintendent, and the board finance committee. So that'll be a great time for you to ask those really deep questions, those of you that are on that committee. We have limited out-of-state travel for staff. Students, you heard about some travel tonight in June. Students may still travel to national events with district office approval and adequate funding. So we understand that we don't want to restrict students, and if they have a thing that they're going to go do, we think that's great. We will follow board policy regarding procurement and purchasing. So you heard me talk about the survey, bringing the survey bids to you. Now, that's not an amount we normally would run through here, but we're doing anything that's larger than like 10 grand, we're running by you guys, so you see it all. I probably will not do that into infinity, but for now, until we get stabilized. And then I would recommend OSBA training for school finance for board members and the admin team. I think that, you know, you have some really high quality administrators. Some of those folks may want to be a superintendent at some point. Or work at the district office. And if they do, it's really good for them to have that really in-depth training. And it's not super expensive. We probably can afford that small amount. So this is the graphic that I think is the most telling out of Jackie's presentation. And it shows, you know, the upper line is our staffing amounts and the lower orange line is our enrollment. And you can see where they diverge in the woods right there. It's about 2019. And the staffing goes up in 2020 because of COVID, right? We had extra needs, extra cleaning, extra nursing, but our enrollment takes a deep dive. And when that happens, your staffing should have taken the same dive with it. And so to have the staffing go it should mirror your enrollment. So that I mean, there's a lot of factors at play here, but I think this is a major factor in the issue that we have. So what are our next steps? So we're going to continue to advocate at the state level for improved state school funding. I think that's really important. Superintendents right now are talking about high cost disability, sped cap, all those different things, and we will continue to push those. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow to talk about it. That is really important work. We're going to analyze other similar sized districts for right sizing information. So how do we compare to other districts that are our size? Willamette ESD has a really cool graphic, kind of a dashboard thing actually, where you can click on different districts and see different information about them. So we are going to take them up on looking at that. we're going to analyze birth rates, population change, and try to predict future enrollment figures. So like Tom mentioned earlier, when I look at our enrollment and I look at those lower grades, that scares me a little bit. I mean, at some point, that could be 3 or 4 classes of 220 to 240 in the high school instead of 320 each class. That's a huge difference. And what else can we do to increase enrollment? So Josh and I've talked about this at great length, like how do we bring people back into the fold? How do we adjust our educational models so that, we're providing the best service and maybe more options for kids that are more attractive? Because I think kids have different needs now. And I think we have to start looking at some of those things in greater detail. Maximize student attendance and support building culture and climate. There's nothing more important than this in the district right now than having the culture and climate that makes kids want to come to school. It's really important, and really this is National Attendance Month. And I think that's, it's just really important to look at all those factors, and continue to prioritize budget adjustments to protect equity in programs and student support. So one of the silver linings about our issue was that, when we looked at ELD staffing and what little title staffing we have, we made sure it was leveled for what the students needed, even though it's not enough, right? So we're looking at those systems and programs so that, as we continue to add things back in, we're adding them where they're needed to get the highest level of achievement for students and to really serve our kids. And that's it. And I wanted to thank Jackie for the use of her slides. So, any questions?
Covered it pretty well. Thanks, Kim.
You are welcome.
Hey, Jeff? Come up and talk to us about facilities.
Good evening.
Hey, Joe.
Hope you're all doing well tonight. First and foremost, I'm gonna start off with kind of a sad note. We had one of our really lovely and kind members of our custodial team pass away last week. Tracy was a custodian at Butte Creek and at the middle school. She was with us for about a year. She was an exceptional employee, just a wonderful human being, and a heart of gold. She cared so much for the district, the students, the staff. She'd do anything. She'd offer people places to stay and food to eat. Wonderful in every way. Everything she touched, she made better than when she got there. We're truly going to miss her and her wonderful attitude. So I wanted to at least recognize her, acknowledge her. Next, I'd like to acknowledge this wonderful community. We were short-staffed. We were short-handed all summer. We're down a groundskeeper, and the communities at each site, they all stepped up and they made the schools beautiful for opening day. Not just parents, but community members, church groups. They were exceptional. They did way more than we could have ever asked for. So a sincere thanks from the bottom of our hearts for all the help and support. Next, I'd like to acknowledge our staff. They did a lot more with a lot less. This year we had no student summer workers. It's about 15 extra sets of hands that didn't appear for us. So that means a whole lot more work for our custodial staff, moving furniture and cleaning. They took it, they ran with it. They did more than we could have expected and would have asked for in a normal year. So thank them. They're wonderful people and do a wonderful job every day, all summer long. We didn't have a lot of projects going this summer for a lot of reasons. One we did get finished up for the most part is the rekeying of the high school. Took a long time, spent a lot of effort to get them to come back and do it right, but we're almost there. Lots of our attention went to the small things that people don't see, the not flashy stuff, the fixing sinks and toilets and floors and rotten boards, stuff that makes the school function, be safe. That was our priority this year. We wanted to make sure that when they came back, they were as safe as possible. They can utilize the buildings and be happy and safe. We also took some time to help our friends in athletics. We helped install the speakers at the stadium, save a few bucks on installation fees. We didn't do some of the projects we were hoping to, but we did get things to the point where we feel like they'll make it through the season, through the year in good shape. We did save on a couple projects some substantial amounts of money by making a few phone calls. We took one project from 25 grand that we anticipated having to spend to $480. So that was a hell of a good thing to do. So I don't have a whole lot more.
She said, thank you.
Yeah. We're doing our best. We really are going to try. We're going to find every avenue we can to stretch every dollar, to do it right, to do it well, to make you guys proud. We want to be great partners with everybody we come across, and we're going to do every part in every step, make it the best place we can possibly be. So hopefully that was short and sweet. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Anyone?
No, just sorry for the loss, and thank you and your team for the hard work.
Appreciate that. She will be beyond missed. She was truly wonderful.
Glad you took the time to do that, Jeff.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Jeff.
Okay, first of our discussion items, real property issue. Kim?
Yeah, I think we went over this earlier, but in executive session, but the partition for the Robert Cross property has been approved. And so I just wanted to let you know that that's underway and that a survey is next in line for that property. And we are getting some activity on it, so that's good. And so I'll keep you posted on that, but it's looking positive.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And then we have the budget calendar, as it's been changed a little bit. And if you take a look at it, you'll see that we had a couple of days there, 3 of them specifically that are moved in November because of Veterans Day. The regular board meeting will take place on Tuesday, the 12th. And then the December work session, it's on the Monday during break. And so we're at this point, we've canceled that work session in December. And we've canceled the work session in May, which falls on Memorial Day. And otherwise it's remains as it previously was. Any discussion?
Phil, did
concerning any of it?
we want to take into account the March date at all with spring
What's that?
break? Because I think that one,
March 24th.
that one falls on spring break. I can't remember if we talked about during our last discussion.
Oh, yeah, we missed that one.
Yeah,
That's just a work session.
We did miss that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
just
is
delete
spring
that.
break. Yeah,
I think that was the consensus.
yeah, it's consensus that we take that off
Mhm.
also. And as we proved last year, we need to put one on, we can keep it on.
Yeah, not with that one. Yeah.
It always happens.
Yeah. So. Any other fines there?
Okay, so when we take action, we can just say, we're gonna move to approve that with the
With
edit that
the
is
edit.
described
Yeah,
tonight.
the edit that we have. Yep. Should take care of it. Okay,
You got that, Debbie?
okay. And then next up, the superintendent evaluation process and timeline, Derek?
Yeah, hopefully everybody should have the document. And Daniel, I don't think we need to do the PowerPoint since it's posted to board book. So everybody should have the document. Shouldn't look too different than years past. I'll kind of just hit some of the highlights. So the first couple pages go over kind of our timeline. We would be looking at regular updates from the superintendent, first one being kind of the November 12th meeting. And what I did with putting this together is just kind of mirror previous years, and then also looking at the anticipated board meetings for next year. So we have that November 12th meeting, like I mentioned, tonight. If everyone's in favor, we'll move forward with approving this or not. The January 13th superintendent reports, again, kind of interim progress. And then a couple highlights here. January 15th to the 31st, that's when we'd be looking at potentially doing that targeted feedback that we had talked about. That would be made up of, again, still to be determined, but staff members and community members, folks that have that frequent, consistent interactions with the superintendent to be able to provide some, tangible and reliable input. Looking at kind of pushing out evaluation documents to the board, to the superintendent. Previous years, we kind of had about 11-ish days. This gives us a little bit more time, looking at February 1st to kind of the 17th. And thought that should hopefully give us some time to get information back from the target feedback so we can kind of gauge that. And then also, if you look at the 10th of February is when we'd be getting some of the artifacts of evidence from the superintendent. So we should have all that information to kind of put our evaluations together. So the kind of highlights from kind of now till February. And then March, as you kind of look through those documents, that's when we would be putting kind of the final touches on everything with our summary evaluation, and then make a determination how the superintendent wants to proceed with either open or executive session for the final piece of that.
So on the self-evaluation, or excuse me, the articles, or artifacts of evidence, we would have 7 days with those. Is that correct? Am I reading that correct?
Yeah, that's what I was anticipating. Correct.
So we gotta, that takes some organization, and we'll have to be ready to do that within that 7-day period. The one also, so while I have the floor, the targeted feedback survey, I think community members are important. I'm not sure that we have the capacity to get that part done. So if we chose just to do the staff piece this year, I would be fine with that, because I think that part's gonna be a heavy lift.
Yeah, I'm definitely open there if we want to scratch that and just keep it to selected staff members. Any other thoughts or input?
Yeah.
It might be a little difficult to do. I agree with Jennifer. Just really honing in on staff this year would be probably more appropriate.
Would also be how you'd want to do the survey. Like, you just want to send a survey monkey and you throw it on, supporters of Silver Falls and let everybody have at it, or there are ways to do it cheap, clean, easy, and get data.
That's not targeted, though.
That's not targeted.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
It was targeted to Facebook. You're gonna get good, honest data.
You're gonna get
But I'm
some
saying,
data.
like, there are ways you could take a survey, but you're right, like, how do you pick those people would probably be the hardest.
I've said before, I think
Reddit. yes.
the selected staff direct reports, especially since we're kind of doing this on our own, I think first venture out, I think that's plenty to do at this time. And
I have a list of at least 10 community members you can talk to if you'd like to. So I have a good list if you want to.
Hey, this is Derek's show.
Well, it's not Derek's show.
I mean, in lieu of the Facebook thing.
So
Saying.
I think with some of the goals, and especially some of the emphasis, we talked about communication is one of them. But again, I think we'll have a lot going on. Then also, it is a fairly tight time frame. So I'm not married to one or the other. I want to be able to provide. Want to make sure we're able to accomplish what we're setting out to do,
right,
and not biting off more than we can chew. So if we're thinking,
do what we do well.
Yeah, agree.
You get accurate data.
all right. So if I'm hearing everybody correctly, we'll try and keep it to just the selected staff for this first run.
Right.
Okay. I'll kind of skip down the second page again. It's just a summary of the evaluation tools, which we discussed last time. And then I do want to just go to the third page. I set this out with kind of again, we weren't necessarily weighing all of these, but we were trying to place some emphasis for the superintendent. So on the right-hand side is the reference standard for OSBA, the superintendent workbook. And then the top three is kind of what we said we want to place emphasis on for this year. And those again being the effective financial management, which superintendent has already spoken to today with her goals. The effective organizational management, we're seeing some of that now. She's trying to bring some balance to some of the larger classrooms. And then that communication piece is also going to be pretty important. So.
Oh, can I just say too, I really loved your parent squares. They're like really practical, no nonsense kinds of things for the first days of school. And I don't think you would have to send those out, but it is important that people know that you know what's going on and they're coming from you. So I just wanted to give you some feedback right now about those. Those are great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay. That's all. No, that's all I have.
Okay.
Looks good, Derek.
Looks good. Thank you.
Thanks, Derek.
Okay, and then we have budget vacancies to take care of, and cheating here and bringing up my phone because the update that was on our we had a wrong sheet on here on the agenda thing, so I've got it on an email. And we have 3 positions that are vacated as of June 24, and that was gotta make it bigger, Phil. Glenn Cardinson and his position, and Dr. Creighton Helms' position, and Wally Lehrman's position. And so those 3 positions are declared open, and then there's the process on our website, correct? What's that?
We have a policy.
Yeah.
We have to open it up at a certain point.
Right, but what I'm saying is we've got it opened up, but is anybody interested?
Yeah, after the board meeting.
They check the district website and how they go about
We'll
getting
get
their
them.
name in the hat, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yes, okay.
Employment policy.
So those 3, we got 3 positions declared open. The voting process, we talked some last time, and we'll vote later tonight on the business of whether we continue with roll call voting like we do, where each person says their vote, or whether we do a yay nay sort of vote, an up down vote they call it, where all those in favor yay, and all those opposed nay, and do it that way, and one in motion for voting. And we have some discussion on that.
What's the pro cons again of that? I forget already.
Look,
Faster.
Well, there's the speed factor. There's also, it's been brought up that it can be influential as far as waiting, see what peers does or something like that before you vote, instead of that sort of thing. So that and the time and for Deb's sanity, basically. A lot of boards do the up, down vote or the yay, nay.
And the only reason we went to individual is because of COVID and we were doing it online.
And there's an action item on this later, Phil?
Yes, there is, but it's on here for discussion if there's any discussion concerning it before that time.
I can't say I have strong opinions one way or the other. I
Yeah.
think if it increases efficiency to do it one way as opposed to the other and help Debbie out for that. So.
Second that.
Okay, there's no further discussion. We'll move on to facilities usage, board policy, KG and KGAR.
All right, so yes, tonight did you want me to share with you on that, or do you want to
No,
discuss it?
yeah, no, you go ahead and share what you're showing that.
Really, what this is tonight is we are not proposing a change to the board policy KG, but rather an update to KGAR as previously discussed. Turns out the hourly rates on this document had not been updated since 2018, and our costs for employees obviously have changed since 2018. So the KGAR proposal just updates 3 hourly rates on page 4-5 of KGAR.
Did we ever, I know that we talked about this last time, did we ever reach out to the city about this or no?
So this is not connected to our city agreement. I did end up obtaining a copy though of that agreement with the city. I believe, I apologize, I don't want to misspeak, but when I pulled it up, I believe it was signed approximately 20 years ago.
Yeah, didn't we talk about potentially having a joint meeting with the city, and that could be a topic that we talk about?
That is, I know Kim's been, talking with them, and we've been in the works about, needing to review that. Definitely, old agreements, so.
Yeah, Corey and I have been trying to get together, but our schedules are a lot, but, I did send him an email today and asked him to meet again. We'll get it back on the schedule.
And this particular AR is one that takes board action, because I'm asking because traditionally an AR doesn't require board action, so I'm kind of at a loss here why this is on our
So
action.
this is one of those quirky little things that we found in the policy that says the board will approve the hourly rates charged for facility rentals. So this is a housekeeping issue to bring these to you to allow us to update our rates in line with our cost.
Okay,
There
I just
is
wanted a
no-
clarification there, because ARs
Yes.
traditionally aren't our
Yes.
wheelhouse.
Correct. And it would be a lot easier if we didn't have to, like if the policy hadn't said that, so perhaps that might be a policy. we-
Policy revision
Discuss,
later,
yeah.
maybe to look at that. Right.
KG itself says fees for the use of the district facilities will be determined by the superintendent based on the rental charges and personnel fees approved by the board. So
Kind of have
that
a
little
contradiction there.
statement, yeah, we're just crossing T's and dotting I's tonight.
Okay.
Well, they look reasonable.
Any more discussion on?
Just that the numbers I'm seeing are the updated numbers in the revision for adoption, is that
The
what they are?
blue.
Last one I updated, it was marked out, and then we added the new rates for the last document was attached to board.
Says.
I guess I do have a question. It's not really to the finance, but it came up earlier in public comment about cancellations. Is this where, like, if 2 groups, is this where that should be capped, not to add to the plate, but
A whole, I think that's a whole.
Yeah, that's not even,
I actually-
that's not on this agenda, basically.
Yeah, we can, I am working on that, Derek, and I did read that post on Facebook, and I understand, some of the complex, that was a complex situation. It wasn't great, but we're working on that.
Okay.
It's just, we have a high demand for our fields and our facilities, because of the, there aren't a lot of those in town. So.
And this policy was just talking about cancellations, not delayed reservations or anything like that, so. They were just talking about the price rates, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. Second point of public comment. Again, if anyone wants to speak, this time it should be focused on discussion items or action items. And you'd identify yourself, and you'd have 3 minutes, and if you're here, let us know, and if you're online, the raised hand feature. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? Do we have anyone online?
We do not have any hands raised online.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on then. Action item, first one. Voting process. Now's when we can
I got it.
make a
Yeah.
decision on that.
I move that the board revert back to the yay, nay, open voting process.
Second.
Been moved in second to revert back to the I move that the board, or I move that the board revert back to the yay, nay, open voting process. Any further discussion? Okay, vote.
Owen,
Yes.
Derek,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Josh,
Yep.
Phil,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Jennifer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
From now on.
The next one. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, for approving the superintendent evaluation timeline for 24-25.
I move to approve the superintendent evaluation timeline with the slight amendment of selected staff under target feedback.
Second.
All, okay, been moved in second to approve the 24-25 superintendent timeline with the one change on the survey. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Passed.
There you go. That's quick.
Okay, facilities usage. Board policy on the facility usage, change of fees.
I move to
Uh,
approve the updates made to KGAR.
Oh,
We
point of
got-
order here on myself. I skipped one, took one out of line. My apologies. Board and budget calendar for 24-25.
I'd like to move to adopt the board and budget calendar for 24-25 school year with the edit made to the cancellation of the March 24th work session.
Second.
Been moved in second to approve the 24-25 board and budget calendar with the edit of taking out the March 24th meeting. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Passed. Now, the facilities usage board policy.
So I move to approve the updated rates changes made to the KGAR.
Second.
Been moved in second to approve the updates made to KJ-AR. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Passed. Finance Committee.
Oh, we didn't discuss that, did we?
Yeah, I've got a question about that, a point of order on that. Are we declaring the positions open? Oh, I'm
This
sorry,
is the-
I'm mistaken.
We were supposed to select them, I thought.
We
Recommended the agenda.
Yeah, we had,
we amended the agenda, had that in there, but it's true. Did I skip that on discussion?
No, he amended it to for 15F.
Right, for added another action item for the actual first people.
I think it would be
But-
okay to proceed
but-
because
but-
we've discussed this earlier.
Yeah, we discussed it last time and we can have discussion during, I'll call for discussion during the vote.
Yeah.
So first we'll have concerning the finance committee and just the formation of such a committee. Without specific people on it at this point, but just the formation of the committee itself. Is there discussion about, well, we'll have the motion and we'll have the, do it right. We'll have the motion second and we'll have discussion.
I'll move to approve the formation of the SFSD Finance Committee.
Second.
Been moved in second to approve the formation of the Silver Falls School District Finance Committee. Is there discussion on that? Any further discussion?
Maybe point of order, part of the discussion, we know, are we selecting members tonight or is just we declaring that there's going to be the finance committee?
There, when Derek amended earlier, the next action item will be about the people on it.
Okay.
yeah, 2 parts.
This is in 2 parts, forming the committee, having the committee, and then
Gotcha.
put
Thank you.
people on it.
And the scope is three members. And we're appointing them for the until somebody makes the motion to change the members.
I think it'd probably be good to make it for the fiscal year.
Okay, so through July or June, through May.
Yeah. June
Until-
30th.
June 30th would be the end
Yeah.
of the term.
Make it fiscal year.
And it's quarterly. Is it the plan to meet quarterly? Okay,
Yes.
just, I think those 2 details need to be kind of specified.
Yeah. Be quarterly. Okay, it's been moved in second and discussed, so all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nays? Passed. Okay, and then the next action item is Finance Committee appointment of members. And it was to be Phil Wiesner and Josh Ort and Tom Buchholz.
Oh, okay. It's on the agenda though, it's saying Von Flu on our actual.
That was my mistake. I just added
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
And that'd be to appoint those three for a term to expire June
June.
30, 2025.
Correct.
June 30,
June
yeah.
30th.
June.
And it'd be Bill, myself and Tom.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to appoint our finance committee members of Josh Ort, Tom Buchholz, and Phil Wiesner.
I'll second.
Been moved in second to appoint Budget Committee members Tom Buchholz, Josh Ort, and Phil Wiesner. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Passed. Any future agenda item request?
Mhm.
You guys are doing good.
Adjourn.
All right.
Yeah.